My brothers in this, y'all this nigga black my eye, man. I don't want to talk. Go get my shake back. Go get.
NBA YoungBoy is out here burning bridges with his own crew, and it's getting ugly fast. We've got footage showing him putting hands on one of his own people, and the clip is spreading everywhere for all the wrong reasons. This is a full-on clash between YB and his longtime homie NBA Ben 10, and it ended with Ben 10 walking away with a black eye and getting booted from the entire tour. And here's the wild part. This whole mess popped off over wrinkled clothes. No joke. Ben 10 sat on an outfit, it got creased up, and that small move sparked a big blow-up that turned physical fast. You can hear YB going off in the footage, pressing him hard about it.
Hey, shoot for my clothes. Shoot! My f***ing dead. Ain't no fix for my clothes.
Sources say that argument didn't stop there. It spiraled into a serious hands-on situation that could flip everything inside the 4KT camp upside down. This isn't light backstage tension, this is real inner circle chaos playing out in public. This situation really pulls the curtain back on how NBA YoungBoy moves with his own crew and why people keep saying control is a big issue around him. What went down between YB and NBA Ben 10 isn't just about one argument, it shows a deeper problem inside the whole setup, and it's not a good look at all. Before even getting into the fight footage, you gotta understand who Ben 10 really is, because that's what makes this so shocking. Ben 10, real name Benjamin Fields, has been one of YoungBoy's closest people since they were kids growing up in Baton Rouge. This wasn't some random hanger-on. This was family-level loyalty built over years. Ben 10 stood next to YB through legal pressure, public beefs, and the rise to fame. He showed up in music videos, hit the road on tour, and was considered solid inside the 4KT circle, especially when YB was locked up or tied down with legal issues. When things got shaky, Ben 10 was one of the ones holding it together and speaking for the crew. That's why this whole situation feels so disturbing. People close to the situation say Ben 10 had been frustrated for a while, feeling talked down to and treated like a kid instead of a grown man who earned respect. Sources say he was tired of the constant disrespect, especially after years of loyalty with no questions asked. And that tension had been building long before cameras caught anything. What happened between YB and Ben 10 isn't just personal drama, it represents something way bigger brewing behind the scenes. This really shows how the power structure works around NBA YoungBoy and what happens the moment someone stops being a quiet yes man. NBA Ben 10 wasn't scared to think for himself, and that independence is exactly what pushed this situation into dangerous territory. Ben 10 wasn't just nodding along to everything YB said, and once he started questioning how things were being handled, tension was bound to explode. Now here's where it gets wild, because what actually sparked all of this sounds unreal, according to multiple people close to the situation. Sources say it started backstage before a show, when Ben 10 sat down on a chair where YB had laid out his performance outfit. This wasn't regular merch. We're talking about a custom designer fit worth serious money that YB planned to wear on stage. The outfit got wrinkled, and once YB noticed, his mood flipped instantly. The footage going around shows YB snapping and yelling things like, "I told you not to mess with my clothes," and "That's my outfit," in a heated moment. But what most people don't realize is that this clip only shows the beginning. Witnesses say the anger didn't stop at yelling. It kept building, and the situation quickly turned into something way more serious behind the scenes. Things got real personal real fast, and that's when it crossed a serious line. NBA YoungBoy started digging into old issues, calling Ben 10 out in front of everybody backstage and straight up embarrassing him. This wasn't about clothes anymore. This was YB using the moment to flex power and remind everyone who he thought was running things. That's when the situation flipped from loud talk to real action. And this is exactly where the viral footage comes from. After YB finished snapping about the outfit, witnesses say NBA Ben 10 finally spoke up and said he was tired of being disrespected and wasn't going to keep accepting that kind of treatment anymore. That one moment changed everything. YB immediately rushed Ben 10 and threw the first punch, catching him off guard and landing a clean hit to the face. And it didn't stop there at all. YB kept swinging while Ben 10 tried to protect himself and get out of the situation. What makes this whole thing even more uncomfortable is nobody stepped in. The crew just stood there watching it happen, which really shows the level of fear, pressure, and control surrounding YB behind the scenes. The wild part is, everyone backstage seemed more worried about how NBA YoungBoy would react than about NBA Ben 10 being okay. Nobody stepped in until security finally rushed over, and by that time, the damage was already done. Ben 10 was left with a black eye, a busted lip, and his pride crushed in front of people he thought were family. What happened right after the fight tells you everything about how this whole operation really runs. Instead of cooling things down or trying to fix it, YB stood firm and made it clear Ben 10 was done on the tour. Sources say YB told his team that Ben 10 was disrespectful and out of line, and he didn't want anyone around him who wouldn't stay in their place. At that point, this wasn't about clothes at all anymore. This was about making an example. YB wanted to show everyone what happens when someone questions his authority, loud and clear. Ben 10 was removed from the tour bus, had his backstage access taken, and was pushed out of the 4KT circle almost overnight. 1 minute he was part of the inner circle. The next minute, he was completely cut off. All of this over wrinkled clothes and him speaking up for himself after being disrespected. And the most unsettling part? Nobody backed Ben 10. Instead of asking questions or showing support, the rest of the crew stayed quiet and fell in line, showing just how deep the fear and control really go. What's even crazier is how people around them acted like NBA Ben 10 somehow deserved what happened. That reaction alone shows the level of mental pressure and control NBA YoungBoy holds over the people in his circle. And here's where this turns even more serious. According to multiple sources and past situations, this wasn't a one-time incident. There's a clear pattern of YB getting physical with people close to him when he feels disrespected or challenged, and that's been whispered about for years. DJ Academics even backed this up after visiting YB's house. He described seeing YB yelling at his own homies and putting hands on them, comparing it to a father disciplining his kids. But what was really happening looked more like an unhealthy power setup, where fear and force were used to keep everyone in line. Then there's the Lil Dump situation, which only added more fuel to the conversation. When Lil Dump showed up with a busted lip and blood on his face, people immediately started connecting dots. Dump never confirmed or denied anything, but that silence spoke loud. It painted a picture of fear and control inside YB's circle that nobody wanted to openly challenge. All of this points to one thing. YB doesn't move like someone surrounded by equals. He moves like someone who expects loyalty without questions, and that says a lot about how this whole inner circle really operates. He doesn't treat the people around him like equals. He treats them like subordinates who have to stay in line through fear and pressure. The Ben 10 situation is just the latest public example of this toxic dynamic playing out in real time, and it's uncomfortable to watch. What makes the Ben 10 incident especially disturbing is the psychological side of it. This wasn't really about clothes or a simple disagreement. This was about NBA YoungBoy reasserting dominance and reminding everyone around him that he holds all the power. Ben 10's years of loyalty didn't matter in that moment. When YB decided to make an example, loyalty meant nothing, and that sends a loud message to everyone else in the circle. It shows that loyalty only flows one direction. They're expected to stay loyal to YB, but he doesn't owe that same respect back. The reaction from the rest of the crew says everything. Instead of defending a friend, people focused on staying in YB's good graces. That alone proves just how strong the psychological grip really is, and how fear keeps everyone silent, even when things clearly go too far. That's not loyalty at all. That's straight fear. This kind of mental pressure shows up in toxic setups where one person holds all the power, and that's exactly what people are pointing out here. NBA YoungBoy created an environment where everyone depends on him for money, motion, and identity, making it extremely hard for anyone to speak up or walk away without risking everything. From a business angle, how YB handled NBA Ben 10 is a huge leadership failure. Ben 10 wasn't just a friend, he was an asset. He helped build the brand, stood 10 toes during hard times, and played a real role in pushing the 4KT name forward. By destroying that relationship over something as small as wrinkled clothes, YB showed that ego comes before people. That sends a shaky message to everyone else in the circle, making them question their own value and security. When one mistake can get you cut off, nobody feels safe. And doing all of this in public only makes it worse. Situations like this hurt YB's image and make it harder to bring in solid people long-term. Who wants to work for someone where one wrong move or perceived disrespect can get you embarrassed, removed, or pushed out completely? This whole situation also puts NBA YoungBoy in a risky legal spot, and that part isn't being talked about enough. Physical assault is still a crime, whether it happens between friends, co-workers, or business partners. If NBA Ben 10 ever decides to press charges or take this to civil court, YB could be facing serious consequences. And that's real life, not internet talk. The fact that the footage went viral only made things worse. It added another layer of public embarrassment for Ben 10 and showed how messy social media gets when situations like this explode online. Instead of people focusing on the violence itself, the internet turned it into a joke. And that's disturbing. A lot of fans are cheering YB on, cracking jokes, and treating this like entertainment instead of a serious issue. That reaction shows how normalized this behavior has become in hip-hop culture, where toxic actions get excused just because someone is famous. Instead of holding YB accountable, people are praising him for keeping control, and that mindset only enables more problems. And because the footage is everywhere, Ben 10 can't even move on quietly. His embarrassment is now permanent online, with people replaying it, joking about it, and dragging his name daily. That kind of public humiliation sticks with you and can leave real mental scars long after the internet moves on. For NBA YoungBoy, that viral footage might look like a power move on the surface, but it actually opens the door to serious legal trouble and damages how real business-minded people see him. Not everyone believes violence is a smart or acceptable way to handle internal issues, especially when money and careers are involved. This whole situation forces people to question what loyalty really means inside YB's circle. NBA Ben 10 showed loyalty for years, stayed solid through pressure, and held things down. But the moment he spoke up for himself, he was labeled disloyal and cut off immediately. That tells you everything. In YB's world, loyalty doesn't mean mutual respect. It means submission. Real loyalty goes both ways and includes trust, respect, and protection. What YB demands isn't loyalty at all. It's obedience. He wants people who won't question anything, won't push back, and will accept whatever treatment comes their way. And the way the rest of the crew reacted to Ben 10's situation proves they understand that reality. They know their spot depends on staying quiet, falling in line, and never challenging YB's authority no matter how far things go. No matter how much power or money is involved, this kind of one-sided loyalty never lasts. When people are constantly disrespected or pressured, resentment builds up fast, and that creates cracks inside the whole structure. Eventually, people either walk away quietly or flip the script completely, and that's when things really spiral. The footage of NBA YoungBoy fighting NBA Ben 10 also creates serious legal danger that could follow him for years. Physical assault is a criminal offense, and having clear video evidence makes it much easier for authorities to step in if they choose to. Even if Ben 10 never files a complaint himself, prosecutors can still move forward based solely on what's captured on camera. That risk is even heavier when you look at YB's past legal history and his current probation situation. Any new charges could put his freedom on the line in a real way, not just online talk. On top of that, there's also civil liability to worry about. Ben 10 could pursue a lawsuit tied to physical harm and emotional impact. And with YB's level of wealth, that kind of case could carry serious financial consequences. This situation isn't just bad optics. It's a ticking clock with real-world stakes attached. And because this all played out publicly, the financial fallout could be heavy. From a business standpoint, this kind of incident can easily lead to major settlements and broken deals. Labels, promoters, and business partners don't like chaos, and they definitely don't want their names tied to repeated violent situations, especially when it's caught on camera. This situation with NBA YoungBoy and NBA Ben 10 is about way more than one fight. It exposes toxic leadership and how power can twist people who aren't emotionally equipped to handle massive success. YB's behavior checks every box of an abusive leader, using fear, pressure, and intimidation to stay on top. And that type of leadership always backfires. It pushes solid people away and creates an unstable environment where nobody feels secure. Groups run on fear might look strong for a moment, but they usually fall apart over time because healthy relationships can't survive under constant pressure. In the long run, this kind of control doesn't build empires. It quietly tears them down. NBA YoungBoy's treatment of NBA Ben 10 also shines a harsh light on a bigger issue in hip-hop culture, where violence gets praised and toxic behavior gets brushed off as long as someone is winning. That mindset makes it way harder for people on the receiving end to speak up, and even harder for communities to hold powerful figures accountable. This situation also shows how social media and viral culture can make things way worse. When a painful moment turns into entertainment for millions, it traps people in their humiliation and adds another layer of emotional damage that doesn't just disappear. That kind of public pressure can leave long-lasting psychological effects that people don't talk about enough. The fallout from the Ben 10 situation is likely to stick around for a long time, not just for YB, but for everyone connected to his circle. Other members are probably questioning their own safety right now, wondering if they could be next over one mistake or one wrong move. A fear-based environment like that never works long-term. When people are scared to speak honestly, be creative, or take initiative, everything suffers. If everyone is focused on avoiding punishment instead of doing good work, the whole structure weakens. And Ben 10's situation is a clear warning sign of where this kind of leadership leads. This incident marks a huge turning point for NBA Ben 10, forcing him to rebuild his identity and career completely outside of NBA YoungBoy's circle. That kind of reset is rough in the short term, no doubt, but it could end up being the healthiest move he's ever made mentally and personally. At the same time, the viral nature of this moment puts way more pressure on YB. Law enforcement, the media, and the public are all watching closer now, and every future situation will be viewed through this same pattern of behavior. That makes it way harder to brush things off or avoid real consequences when eyes are already locked in. And that's really what this whole situation shows. It highlights the real price of toxic leadership and how success without emotional growth can wreck relationships, teams, and entire organizations fast. When power goes unchecked, it doesn't just hurt one person. It leaves damage everywhere. NBA YoungBoy might have won the physical moment, but he lost something way more valuable. He lost the respect and loyalty of someone who had been riding with him since day one. The fact that all of this exploded over wrinkled clothes shows how small triggers can spark big damage when control and anger issues are already bubbling. YB's reaction was completely over the top for the situation, and it exposed how poorly he handles minor frustration without taking things too far. For young people watching this play out, the message should be clear. Success doesn't give anyone the right to mistreat others, and real leadership means showing respect and dignity, even when mistakes happen. This behavior isn't something to praise or copy. The viral footage will follow both YB and NBA Ben 10 for the rest of their lives, but in very different ways. For YB, it stands as proof of toxic behavior that could lead to legal and business problems. For Ben 10, it's a painful public reminder of how he was treated by someone he once trusted and stood beside. So now it's on you. What do you think about this whole situation between NBA YoungBoy and NBA Ben 10? Did YB have a reason to react like that? Or did he clearly go way too far this time? Drop your thoughts in the comments and let it be known. Make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel Famezaar, because this story is nowhere near finished. Patterns like this always catch up eventually. And when they do, people usually find themselves standing alone with no real support left. The real loss here isn't just the fight. It's the collapse of a long friendship and the spotlight on a culture that excuses toxic behavior as long as success is involved. That's not leadership, and it's not something worth praising in hip-hop or anywhere else. Stay locked in with Famezaar for the real breakdowns.